Juist in deze onzekere tijden is het belangrijk om elkaar te blijven ontmoeten, te informeren en te inspireren over hoe we het morgen slimmer en beter kunnen doen. Welkom bij de livecast van Pakhuis de Zwijgen.
Good afternoon. My name is Jennifer, and I would like to welcome you to the number 9 of Uncovering Creative Spaces. And in this program, we talk with creative frontrunners. What are they doing? How do they do what they do? And I get to ask a lot of questions with magical people at my table. You as a guest are watching, and this is this is what we like. And I'm very excited today because I have two amazing creative beings here. And I have lots of questions ready. I'm going to introduce real quick. Iztok Klančar. He's a filmmaker, video artist, photographer, teacher, and here at the table. Hello, Iztok. How are you?
Good. Very excited.
Okay, good. I'm also excited because you're here and we're going to talk. And you do lots. You do lots with images, with what we see. And that's very important. How can we best describe your work, or how would you describe your work?
Instinctive.
Instinctive?
Yes, it addresses a subconsciousness.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And do you do that on purpose?
It's what I feel, yes. I'm always looking for immersiveness in my work.
Immersiveness?
Yes.
Meaning?
I want to completely immerse my audience into my inner world.
Wow.
Yeah.
So is it like if I see something you've made, is it like having a peek in your mind, in your brain?
Yes, and it can get a bit scary as well. There are extremes, there are emotional extremes in there.
Yeah, yes. But that is not, because some people go extreme to provoke or to get, but that is indeed, as you said before, that's what you feel and that's what's inside.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how I feel, and I think this kind of work can also be very subversive, because we address our sexuality and things we really want. It's kind of unfiltered. So basically, the control of the society is taken away here.
Yeah.
In that sense, it can be subversive. Yeah.
So is it that it has no rules or different rules?
Different rules, I think. Yeah.
Do you have a top of rules, or is it just maybe depending on the project you're working on?
Yeah, I think that really depends on the project, but like the last few projects I made, I think I did quite a lot of variations on autoeroticism.
Okay. And have you always worked like this, or in the beginning that you had to find your signature, if that's what you want to call it?
Yeah, that was a struggle. It was quite a struggle, yeah.
Did you also put that in on camera, the struggle? Because sometimes there's magic in there, right?
Yeah, and in some works it isn't, maybe as well. You know, I'm maybe a bit too critical of my work, but the struggle. I think that was the biggest part, is that I maybe was a bit afraid to let everything go and to show myself who I am. You know, because you always have, like I said, like the control of the society and your things you learned throughout the years.
Yes.
How to behave. And it's kind of was a bit difficult to get that clue.
To unlearn that, to shake that off.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And you're doing a good job at that, I think.
I hope so.
I hope so. I think for the people at home, it's very good to have a little sneak peek of, I think it's a little peek of what this amazing maker Iztok does. that was a piece out of Descent. Can you tell us a little bit about what we just saw?
Yeah, I can speak as a filmmaker, or maybe also I tried to translate a personal experience I had as a teenager.
This is a translation of.
Yeah, something that I did when I was, I think, 15. I went to the woods and I was actually smearing myself with mud.
Okay. Just randomly you were like, this is what you felt doing.
Yeah. And it was a very erotic experience and I just couldn't get this out of my head. So then I decided with my model that we can recreate this experience. And we actually didn't rehearse. So he was discovering as
just
we went.
Going.
Yeah, going with the flow.
Wow. And so the only thing, I think you positions the clay there, or was it also like we just walking?
Yeah. It's all prepared, of course.
Wow. And so, because I like that you said this is an experience, a personal experience, but as a filmmaker, you couldn't let that go. So you decided to put that on camera.
Yeah.
Is that a common thing in the way you work? Do you have a special process when you make?
Yeah, like I said, it's very instinctive, and sometimes I try to visualize things that I couldn't get out of my head. It's very simple, you know, and then I start with little ideas, and slowly they grow into larger and larger film projects.
So you don't have a specific way, like, okay, I first always start at the drawing board, or I first start with the feeling that it gives me, and then I put it into picture, because sound is also very important, I think, with you.
Yeah.
I've heard it.
Yeah, the sound is being done by a very good friend of mine who still lives in Slovenia, where I come from.
Yeah.
And we can connect on this scale, because on this level, we share a certain history, a certain environment where we both come from.
So he also knows to translate that feeling.
Yeah.
You always work with the same sound guy?
Up till now, yes. Yeah.
Well, that's great. That's great. Yeah. And here in this video, you also have a motto. How do you pick the people you work with on camera?
Yeah, something needs to resonate in me. They make an impression. With him, it was his physicality, and also a big openness for art and to experiment with art. Yeah, that's it. People, it's openness. I have to feel it.
Yeah.
It's, again, very instinctive.
You are an instinctive person.
Yes.
I like that. I like.
So, yeah.
But so I think then, if you say you're very instinctive and indeed you feel, that is a lot of personal work. Doesn't it make it harder for you to make? Or easier?
Now it's getting easy.
Okay.
It used to be difficult because when you're searching like all corners of your mind, sometimes you get lost in a limbo. And a few years ago, it happened actually.
Yeah?
Yeah, it happened. But I learned how to visualize it. There are all sorts of tools. And then you turn on the rational part of yourself, which helps you organize all these thoughts. And then you see it's not such a big deal.
Okay, so you have to grow into your makership, of course.
Yes.
Oh, and find your freedom in it. Do you have one, or would you say, do you have a specific signature? Because when I started doing this research and saw your work, immediately I felt like, okay, it is indeed sometimes a little bit dark. It has something erotic, but also sound. I immediately got put into the sound. I was like, ooh, what am I feeling because of what I'm hearing and seeing?
Yeah. The genre could be called psychodrama. I love David Lynch, so the sound is a bit similar. It's an industrial noise, also David Lynch uses, and Lifecutter, my friend of the soundtrack, also uses.
Yeah.
What was the question again?
No, that you work out of feeling, and do you have a certain signature, if you would call it that?
Signature. Whoa, you got me on that one.
Yeah,
you caught me.
Yeah, but because maybe the thing is, maybe you do, but you don't, because the way I'm talking right now, I'm putting it in a box, but you can't box it.
I can't, no.
Right?
Yeah, there is a certain demonic part of it, demons, which attack me every night, or during the nights I can't sleep.
Yeah.
So I think it's also visualizing those fears.
And does that then liberate you from these demons? Does that set them free so they don't devour you?
Yes, absolutely.
Wow. So therapy.
Therapy.
This is therapy.
Therapy, yeah, that's an important aspect of my work.
Yeah?
Yeah, you said it really well, yeah.
Oh, I like it, so I get your work. Yeah. And speaking of your work, there is someone here who has been up close and personal in your work. And to make that bridge, recently you had a 3-parted film, remembering the nights in Safe Haven.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about how that came to screen?
It arose from the feeling during the first lockdown when I myself lost an important part of my social life.
Yeah.
And then you don't see those people. For instance, for a while I worked in Klančar.
Yeah.
And that was also kind of a band-aid for my regular social life. I would go to the club and be really nice with all the people and see really some amazing performers or some really weird stuff going on in the club. And those were also kind of my quick friends.
Yeah, indeed.
And that's what we lost. And you don't have the outlet to just like live, to let go of the excess energy from everyday life.
Yeah.
So that's how it started. So I went digging into some of my autoerotic fantasies, and it was a very open process. And through that, I dressed people who I still remembered from nightlife. They resonated. So I had a whole list of people, and
then you were like, oh yeah, this one. Were you immediately? Did you knew that our amazing guest Belle Dommage? Did you knew? Okay, I want her. Belle in the first part, or did that become later?
Yeah, no, I was actually devising all 3 parts at the same time.
Okay.
I just wanted to differentiate them from each other as much as possible. So with Belle's case, it was first I looked into her performances, because like I said, her way of performing resonated in me. Miguel as a performer is very focused, and it's kind of a frightening focus.
You scared of people.
Yeah. So it's very intense. You feel the intensity, but it's still very controlled. So that's what I couldn't get out of my head.
Wow.
That's why I asked him to be part of the project.
All right. So, because we are talking about Miguel Mattias, a.k.a. Belle Dommage, and she plays a very big role in one of the parts that you're going to see right now. Watch. Belle Dommage. Belle Dommage, you were here. Hello, how are you? You are a gender performer.
Yes.
I like that word. I hadn't heard it before.
Okay.
Because at first I was like, okay, yeah, is it drag? It's art. It's much more. And then I was like, gender performer. And then I was like, okay, yeah, because you have many amazing looks.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's very just like the movies. You're like intrigued, and at the same time, it's a bit dark and a bit scary, but it's you.
Yeah, for sure. All of them are in a way extensions of Miguel.
Yeah, because is there a okay? This is what Miguel does, and this is what Belle does, or are they one and the same?
I would say Belle is a bit of a heightened character of Miguel, but in essence, we're all the same person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
and a beautiful person, and a person you made an impression. And then we could see you here in this movie. What was it like for you? Because we just saw a piece out of part 1.
I love to do this. I come from a background in theater and cinema. And since I started doing drag or gender performance, as I like to call it a little bit more now, it was going back to that period of my life a little bit. I still have a passion for acting. At a certain point, I detached from theater and cinema a little bit because you're still working in a certain mold. So and I like to have as much creative freedom as possible. So I kind of detached at a certain point, but I still have a certain passion for it. So it's something I still include a lot on my performances.
And where was that? Because indeed, you know, school, professional theater. We get molded into this is how you think, this is what it looks like. Yeah. Where was for you the switch that you felt like, yeah, but there is so much more in me that I have to put out there?
Not so many years ago, I think. I've always been very creative in not only in an acting way, but I always liked to build stuff, create outfits, accessories. At a certain point, I even did recovery of furniture, just because I have this need to work with my hands and see things coming out of my hands. And I would say drag came. So I did a professional course in theater, and then I did a BA in more modern theater and performance arts. When I finished this BA, I was kind of fed up with all this world and what it brings with it. That I decided that I didn't really want to work in theater anymore or cinema. And then for a couple of years after that, I was working on other things.
But still creatively?
And during this, no, I had a period where I had a guest house in Lisbon. For about 2 years, and during this period, I realized, no, I really need something creative in my life, or else my life is really dull. It feels really dull and empty. And at a certain point, when RuPaul's Drag Race came up, I started watching it. So I always had a certain fascination for drag queens, but I never really saw myself in that perspective. And then suddenly with the show, it gives you the whole perspective of what's behind and how creative it allows you to be. So I saw it and so I was like, yeah, this is something for me. So then I just decided that I wanted to do it. And then, of course, with it, other stuff came, like the realization that there's this femininity in me that needed a certain medium to come out and be worked also. And all of this just adds to me as Miguel, as a human being. So I'm much more in tune with both my masculine side and feminine side right now. And these are binded together by this creative medium that I found that is, you can call it drag, or I go more for the gender performance because I kind of detach a little bit from the more common drag, which is the female impersonation per se, if you're a male. Yeah, indeed. Because you have drag queens and drag kings, exactly. But what we know. And one of the tonics of my work is exactly the gender play, the gender confusion, masculine and feminine on the same body, and how malleable that is. Yeah, but how great is it? And the funny thing is,
especially, you know, within the scene, people would like to say, we don't want to be boxed in.
Yeah.
And then you say, yeah, but this is what drag looks like. And then especially with a show like Drag Race, you look and you're like, oh, indeed. And then sometimes you would have the odd birds out.
Exactly.
And they would have you think differently and see that there is more open. So I think that is amazing that you said indeed. And then you saw, yes, it is for me, because the way you have... I saw a few of your looks and I was like, okay, but is this the same person? Is this a different character? There is so much to see. Even if you just see one picture, you're like, okay, but there's this and this and this, and whoa, I got to look back. And you make it all yourself, or most of it?
Almost everything, yeah.
That is a lot of work.
Yes.
And most of the time, I would say, okay, but you know, you make it look easy. You don't. You make it look very complicated and wow, but I know, like, this is you.
Yeah.
I just want to see it. I can't touch it though.
Yeah. I'm very much of a perfectionist, and
scary.
I like things to be well finished, and I don't have a tendency to make my life that easy in this sense.
Oh, maybe that's what you saw, right? That scary focused.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Intensity, yes.
Yeah.
And I think towards the end of the project, I needed time to get adjusted to that.
Yeah.
I
think we actually have something that is very in common. It's I'm also a very instinctive kind of worker, and I like a certain rawness to things, and I think this connects very well with Iztok's work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is it like, because like I asked Iztok, do you have, especially if you have these many looks, how do I still know, this is a Belle, right? This is definitely Belle.
Yeah, I think, although I do very different looks, there's always, there's a certain aesthetic that is always there. I can't really put my finger exactly on it, but I would say my makeup is always quite graphic. And,
it's so detailed.
I always like to, there's always a certain darkness to it. It's very sensual, independently if it's more feminine or more creature-esque kind of thing, and a lot of body.
A lot of body.
A lot of body parts showing. Yeah.
And a thing I saw is maybe it's coincidence. I thought, is there also an element of nature also coming back in your work?
All the time.
Yeah?
Yes, all the time.
Where does that come from?
Slovenia, my home country.
Okay, yeah. So that's home.
Yeah, that's home, and I miss the nature in Slovenia. There's a lot of wilderness there, and wilderness in a sense that you won't meet people, you won't come across people.
Just you and the environment.
And I think during my last projects, and especially due to Corona, I wasn't able to travel, I kind of extracted every single possible landscape from Amsterdam. And I'm still surprised that at the end, of this project, that I still could find little areas with a very specific landscape. So Amsterdam is very rich.
Yeah, indeed. We forget that sometimes, I think.
Wow.
Yeah? And you know the hotspots right now.
Yeah. I've been, and also years ago I was obsessively walking across the whole city at night to get rid of my demons.
Yeah.
So I know these places, I just encountered them by chance.
Yeah.
By chance? Or is it destiny?
Or is it?
Or is it? And for you, how do you have something that always incorporates home into your work?
Home in this, like my home country?
Yeah, your home country, or whatever feels home for you. Maybe that is indeed Belle is home. That's it already.
I always like to work with relatively natural materials. I use a lot of branches, moss, like for example in this image.
So also
some
nature.
Flowers. So there's also some nature coming in. I think that there's a certain pureness to these materials, and you can transform them in pretty much whatever you want. I'm very much about textures. But I think if I think about my home country, I was born in Portugal in a village called Cascais, which is by the sea. Of course, we have lots of water in Amsterdam, but it's not the sea.
No.
So that part is still a little bit maybe more in my imaginarium than anything else. But I think, yeah, the natural materials, cheap materials sometimes. Action is my favorite store to buy these kind of things. And then just try to combine them in the most aesthetically pleasant way possible.
And do you have a certain way of working into creating a new look? Do you always start at A or?
Not really. Sometimes I start from a small thing, like a pair of earrings I have, and I want to build something from that to just to make a whole look out of it. Sometimes they come from an idea, but again, I'm very instinctive also in building things. I start working with the materials and see where things kind of lead me a little bit. Sometimes I go back to certain looks years after because I woke up thinking about, okay, what if
I did that?
and change that here and there. So yeah, it's a bit instinctive, and I don't really plan a lot. It's more go with the flow, see where it goes.
See where to go with the flow, or just fly, because you're also aerial. Oh
yes.
my God, you can fly. You're an aerial acrobat.
That's true. That's true.
You can literally fly and make it look fly.
Yeah.
And
yes.
and we met before because I thought I knew you from somewhere, and we found a video where I know you from. check this out.
Don't get too close, you might burn yourself. Oh yes, baby, stretch yourself. Just when you thought you've seen it all, you arrive at Uro and its supernature taking over. Yes! You're damn right.
Yes.
Oh my
Good
God, I missed this.
At Oerol, this was where I first saw you, and that was at the Schelling, I think 2 years ago.
2 years ago, yeah.
That's my voice you hear in the video. Stretch yourself. But that was nice, because also indeed there is a team. They think, okay, let's do a different, and we're going to have performances, and we're going to have drag there, and then we as an audience or people think, okay, we know what's going to happen.
Yeah, we're going to see a lip sync.
Yeah, and that's going to be that. And this is my life. Yeah. And then I see this amazing performance act, which is perfection, which is skill, which is, whoa. It's Belle Dommage.
You're being too kind.
Yeah. No, it really made, I was like, wow, this is so...
Yeah, I've always had this fascination with, especially the silks. It's something that I've always fascinated me since very, very young. And I started doing aerial acrobatics about 10 years ago, maybe a little bit more by now, kind of lost count at a certain point. And this came up exactly on that period where I had the guest house and I started feeling the need to do something a little bit more creative. So I started doing some classes. And it grew on me. At this point, I am here in Amsterdam. I'm also teaching classes of aerial silks and aerial hoop. And since the minute I started doing drag, I wanted to bring the aerial part into it, because I don't see a lot of drags doing aerials. There are a few.
I have never seen one.
For example, that I remember. But still today I don't see a lot of this happening, and I think it just makes it even more rich.
It gives you, again, you don't limit yourself, because why not? If you have the skill and if you know how to use it, and you also teach. You also teach.
Yes, I do.
And they say those who can't teach, but you can. Both of you can. So you teach. But what is it that you would like to give your students? Is there a certain message?
Message, freedom, not just any freedom, but I think within film you can create a world and manipulate your audience, so it's kind of credible because it's film.
Yeah.
It's like we're like in this paradox, but and that's what I want to give students. I just try to be as open as possible and understand their idea and make it stronger. It's a feeling of freedom that they can basically anything is allowed because it's film.
Yeah. Anything is allowed because it's film. Speaking of anything is allowed and taking away your freedom, the cards will decide. Okay, so right now, this is my favorite part. I like this. We have these cards, the cards of destiny. And on these cards, there are a few questions, and you will pick either left or right, and then we will answer the question. So I don't know what the question is. You don't know until we read it. It's fantastic, and it gives us very cool stuff to talk about. So let the cards decide. Who will go first? Yes, Belle, get it.
Okay.
Do you want left or right?
Let's go for right.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know who decides what's right. Wat is het beste advies dat je ooit hebt gegeven? What's the best advice you ever got?
I have several, but I think they interconnect a little bit. It's just always believe in yourself. Never stop. Keep going. Persevere. And don't hear too much to what other people have to say about what you do.
Yeah, do it for you.
Yeah, do it for you. Own your thing. Be genuine. And this will show. And when it shows, people see it and they believe they can also be themselves. And
are you going to say the same? Because I see you nodding.
Yeah. It's roughly the same.
Yeah.
But one advice I got from Bas Kosters, actually, at least that's how I interpreted his advice, is if you don't know how to begin a project, just take a small idea and go for it and visualize it.
And then it will
grow.
Yeah.
Nice.
There we go, Bas Kosters.
Very good. What's the best advice you've ever given, you think? Just on the top of your head.
Oh.
And don't be modest.
Recently, I told my students that they are most certainly allowed to somehow confront me. If there was anything stupid I said in class or they would disagree with, they can come to me even half a year later and have a talk with me.
Nice.
Because I want to learn from them.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
That's honest teaching, because you cannot expect it's a one-way direction, right?
No.
I like that. What is the best advice you've given lately?
If it ever crossed your minds, do it.
No limits?
No limits.
If it ever crossed your mind, do it.
Yeah, because I had a couple of people, I'm thinking about this couple of situations I had. People approaching me while I'm in full drag and saying like, "Oh, I would love to try it one day, but
not me."
You know, I don't know. It's like I always tell them like, if you had the smallest like feeling that I would like to do it,
do it.
Forget everything else. Do it. Just even if it's just once, do it.
Yeah. Just try. Take it away from. At least owe it to yourself, right? Just to feel like, what did it feel like? Did it give me, indeed, that sparkle that I felt inside, or did it say, okay, no, it's not for you? But take that away for yourself.
Usually, you rarely regret the things that you did. Sometimes you do. But the ones you regret the most are the ones you never took a chance to do.
True.
So.
Okay, let me not regret not getting enough cards. What's the next card? Left or right?
Left.
Left. Let's see what's left. Waar ben je het meest trots op? What are you most proud of? Yeah, I'm acting like as if you don't read Dutch, but sorry.
Whoa, that's so difficult. That's such a difficult question.
Yeah, why? What makes it so difficult? Because you don't have to choose one thing, but one of the things that pops into mind.
Yeah, I can give you a very let's say egocentrical self-care answer. Is that I am now slowly realizing that I'm the master of my own life.
But that's great, right? Mm-hmm. Why would that be? That's great.
It took me a while to get there.
Yeah,
it's a realization.
That's good stuff. And did the work you created, and maybe even the last work you did with Remembering the Nights, did that help with that process?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Absolutely. It's still a difficult process. You're still going through all sorts of doubts and challenges. But yeah, it's also, again, I'm talking about these instincts, you know, trust your instincts.
Yeah, yeah.
Because there's also, I learned through the years that there's a rational part of my brain which can kind of use these instincts in a really good way. And that's creativity in my case.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
I like that. What are you most proud of, Belle?
I'm proud of my beauty, you know. Well, I'm kidding, but in a way, whenever I put myself in drag, I always feel this sense of pride in
what you created,
how good I think I look. No, but I'm mostly proud of having my own opinion, and if there was a point in my life where it kind of felt there was a certain guilt sometimes about expression, a certain opinion, I got to a point in my life where I realized, but it doesn't matter the outcome. It's my opinion, and just because it's my opinion, it doesn't mean that I cannot change it.
No, indeed.
But if I don't put it out, there is no space for dialogue, and you can't really learn. So in having my own opinion and expressing it, I think that there's this flux of energy that you can go back and forth with other people. But I think it's important for you to settle on something, even if that something in a couple of years is not the same thing.
Yeah, because you have the right to change your mind.
Yeah, exactly.
But also you need to feel, to get through those points in your life, you need to have a safe space for yourself.
Yeah, for sure.
And
for
people
sure.
around you.
For sure.
And then in this case, like, you made this movie because one of these safe spaces where you meet the people that feel like you, look like you, or not even, but still you resonate with, is taken away. So how did you, in all of these Rona situation madness, create maybe a new or a safe space? Well, there's this wonderful thing that came up now a little bit with the corona, which is the Zoom and these online spaces that you can just log in with 10, 15 of your friends, and you can just chit chat. So, I mean, this is not the same thing because you still miss that personal live contact, but you can still be with these people that are your safety nets, that give you that believe in yourself, because we all do, and that's why we connect with each other. So yeah, in a way, in this way, I consider myself a little bit lucky also in the sense that the classes that I teach, they stopped for a couple of months, but at a certain point we reopened the studio. So because was online teaching also an option for you?
I did a couple of online classes, but never aerials, because it's just not. But people don't have the apparatus at home. But I was just stretching classes, and I personally don't like it that much because I miss that.
You need the
live contact. It kind of defeats the purpose a little bit because you can't really correct or. But once the studio was open again, and teaching for me gives me so much back that it was also. It helped me to keep my sanity a little bit, of course. But also, church was also one of my close to the heart spaces. It's like a big family, and we did almost every week a Zoom meeting with all of us. So sometimes
checking in how's everybody's doing
about nonsense, but just that feeling that those people are still there, and they will always listen to you and have.
Because in the back we're seeing images of you. I think this is during Corona.
This is Club Church, and this was actually already during Corona. So the 3 voor 12 did a series of lives in clubs in Amsterdam with the performers that usually work there. And this was a very specific performance for church and also for the Corona time. It's kind of about loneliness and the losing of these spaces and the nakedness that they make us feel at a certain point. So it's also this pain coming through it. Because these were our safe spaces, and suddenly we don't have these anymore. It's like Iztok was saying in the beginning of the conversation. We have all these frustrations, pains, demons, whatever you want to call them, and we found these means to exercise these things a little bit, and suddenly all of those are not available at this point for us.
Yeah, so you have to think different.
Yeah.
But find new ways. And I like that, for instance, your movie, is that something like, okay, now I released that, or is there more? Because we're still right in the middle of it. We don't even know if it is the beginning, the middle, or the end. Yeah,
we're right in the middle of it. By the way, when I saw this performance, I was like, I want Belle in my film.
So this was the performance that gave you that.
I had Belle on my list, and then I saw this, was like, that was a tipping point.
Check.
Check. So, no, but because my film ends as an empty space, I also couldn't conceive of a proper ending. So we have in the chapter 3, you have two young men dancing in the club, and then it just ends. The club is empty, and we see clouds and some more landscape around Amsterdam. We don't know how it's going to end.
No, we don't. No, but that's still we're making. I want 2 more cards, I think, or at least for us to choose. Are there cards for us here? What do they say? Left or right? Yeah, Iztok, why not? You thought that I was going to say Belle. Left or right?
Right.
Right. You're right. Heb je wel eens een gênante fout gemaakt? Oh, a very embarrassing
A lot of them,
mistake.
But what's embarrassing? It can also be in your head.
Indeed.
Oh, whoa.
Are you quickly embarrassed?
I was embarrassed just before we started the online premiere of my films.
Why? If I may ask. That's weird.
Yeah, it's like the imposter syndrome. I was like, oh, what did I make?
Oh, okay.
You know, then in the morning, in the evening, I would be worrying. In the morning, I would be like, come on, it's all right. It's funny.
Do you get yourself there, or do you have someone you call, someone that calms you down? What is it when you go too critical on yourself? Because that's what creatives sometimes do.
I think that's also the source of feeling embarrassed. It's that critical voice that gets a bit too loud. It's years of experience, zooming out, talking to people. You need a lot of kind of anchors around your life, in your life.
Absolutely.
So you keep in touch with reality. I think that's most important.
So you don't float away.
You don't float, and then there's no need to be embarrassed anymore.
Okay.
Stay grounded.
Yeah.
Do you have an embarrassing moment that you can recall? You don't have to. Right?
Yeah, for sure. I would like to answer more with the root of you were talking
Please
about
do.
embarrassment
Absolutely.
a little bit. I come from Portugal, which is still today a very Catholic country, and I remember in several occasions while I was growing up, when I was still a kid, my mother did this a little bit inconsciently, also because it's kind of the culture that stems from the Catholicism. Whenever I would do something wrong or a little bit embarrassing, maybe sometimes more to my parents than to myself, the most common phrase that would come out of my mother's mouth would be like, "Oh, Miguel, what a shame."
Okay.
What a shame.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
So when you grow up with this, without knowing, so inconsciently, there's a series of things that make you feel ashamed. I have a perfect notion nowadays, and this came a little bit with drag, that I never really allowed myself to be too feminine as a boy.
Yeah, because
this notion of shame was always there in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
And I don't blame my mother at all for this. We have a perfectly good relationship, but it's just something that it's on the matrix of the culture of being Portuguese.
Yeah.
And I felt ashamed of a series of different things along my life, pretty much up until the point where I started doing drag, where suddenly those things that I was ashamed of, they started to be praised by other people.
So it clicked.
So this suddenly shifts your sense of shame, and I actually feel that nowadays I don't feel a lot of shame about pretty much anything, and I'm all up to try almost everything. Almost everything, at least once. If it works for me, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But at least I tried it. So I think I'm a little bit cleansed of embarrassing moments, or
that's good.
At least in the last few years, yeah. But there was a long period of my life that shame was a very present thing. Yeah, and it held me back. I mean, I started doing drag around 30. Yeah, I'm 35 now, so I'm doing it for 4 years. I had 31. So this is a long period of my life, still living with these things. Yeah, but it's a process.
Yeah, this Catholic shame, that would be also kind of not my direct upbringing, but the environment.
Yeah, indeed. The eyes of the people, what the people going to think, what are they going to say. Yes. So, you know, don't give me any shame, behave.
And it's also interesting, as a child I also had some kind of, how should I say, gender fluid stuff going on. So I would like to try on, I like to try on the girls' clothes and so on. But I never allowed myself to do that. So it's always a bit emotional to hear that.
Yeah.
And I'm very, very enthusiastic about the younger generation. I have one student at the academy in Utrecht who is doing a fashion project around these gender roles, because he is able in his daily life to wear women's clothing or men's or whatever, just according how he feels that day.
Oh, sweet.
And when I heard his story, I was like, whoa, wow. This is like, I almost got tears in my eyes.
Yeah,
you know?
Because you see that this generation is now able to maybe express themselves in that way more.
There's a little bit more freedom, I think. Yeah. Also because these things are more visible nowadays. You have more access to them more easily than when we were kids. I mean, I only had internet since I was 14, 15.
Yeah.
And still at the time, this gender non-binarism issue that is so present nowadays. When I was like 14, 15, we didn't really talked about it. There was this idea of androgyny. Yeah. But it was still very much taboo. So,
absolutely.
So I think that this is a little bit better understood nowadays. So it makes it easier also for people to express themselves a little bit.
To express themselves and talk about it, not only in a way. I think that's also a great thing that is happening right now. Because normally you would talk about it being a problem, it being something tragic. And now you talk about it because either they want to talk about it or, you know, not just only from the tragic or problem part, but because it's here. Let's not act as if it's not. And do you, because eyes on the future, and do you take your part as people who also change, bring the change for the future, for the students, for the people that see you? Do you feel it as that when you share what you do?
Yeah, definitely. I've had a few interactions with people that sometimes come to me after a show. I have a very specific example. Church organizes these parties for refugees.
Oh,
and this is also organized by some HIV organizations at the same time. So they do free testing, etc. The SOA Amsterdam, if I'm not mistaken. And I did one of the performances I did for that event was with the song "Beautiful" from Christina Aguilera. And I did it in a sort of a HIV awareness kind of way. So at a certain point, I would just take off my upper body part, and I would draw red pluses all over my body. And I had this boy coming to me in the end with tears in his eyes, saying like, "Oh my God, you actually made me feel beautiful with your performance." And I think these little moments are also what gives, what legitimates what you do. And not only this, I had people also that a very good friend of mine. The heterosexual-ish woman, so she's around 50s now, and she led a very regular heterosexual life until more or less her 50s, and then she started understanding that she's actually more of a queer-ish mind. So only now she started, and she also from Club Church. She accompanies my work also from the beginning, and we became very good friends at a certain point. And she's always told me, like, when I see your shows, you give me this strength to fuck everything and just be you. Just be you. Just do your thing. Just go for it. And I think in my case, this is the best that I can. Yes. That I can give to other people. Yeah.
Yeah, Iztok is like, yeah. Do you now? and for you, is that also, indeed, because let's not forget, indeed, you're a teacher, but you're a filmmaker, so you're human. Mm-hmm. But do you also take that piece that students come to you and see you as a teacher and see you as someone that is giving them tools?
Not necessarily all of them. Yeah. But again, with some, my message really resonates, or the other way around as well. Yeah. So it's good to hear this. Like they're sometimes they come to me and they say, "Wow, this is really cool stuff you showed me." Because sometimes I show them quite edgy queer music videos. Just to kind of expand their mind.
It's just to stop thinking about. It's okay to
don't
see
be politically correct. That's my message.
Or see it and know that no, this is not for me. But see it. Yeah. Just because it doesn't have to be like, oh, it's not for me, so it can't be there. Just know that this is not for me.
That's very important that you have when you're developing yourself and when you're growing up, etc. It's really, really important to have people who show you things that are not on the mainstream, that go completely against the more linear, common mainstream idea that you have. Like I remember when I was a kid, I would listen to those Dance Power 3 kind of CDs with these Pop the Jam. And at the time, I had an uncle of mine who was an avid collector of alternative music, etc. So he started showing me these things. And what I noticed now is most of my musical taste stems from those deviations. And I think that just makes people richer and...
Exactly that. It enriches your palette. You know that there's more out there for you to
expand.
I like that. Yeah. Expand. So we're expanding to the future. Where you want to go? What can we see? What can we see next?
Yeah. Well, but before anything else, we want to go to a more normal life. Back to a more normal life. And when I say normal, in the sense is clubs being open again, and art spaces being open again, and theaters, etc. So we are able to do our thing.
And is there anything special you're working on? I love primeurtjes. I forgot the English word.
So one of the things that has kept me going also during the Corona is sitting on my working table and do some new outfits. This one, for example, is it's a product from the Corona time. It was all build up now in the Corona. So I am pretty much building a series of outfits to put them out eventually when there's possibility for it.
Nice.
But I have this idea also in mind, and it was already starting to appear before the Corona. I would like to do a sort of a one-man show, but in a more theatrical way. So instead of like those short numbers you see in the bar or in the disco, do a proper production for about 45 minutes, 1 hour, involving all these questions, these matters that we've been talking about. Gender fluidness, gender play, aerial acrobatics, a little bit of theatrical
you have
nonsense.
You have all of it, so I think...
So this is something that for the future I would really like to build something a little bit more cohesive as
visual
story.
Yes.
Visual story, maybe with some video mapping also. Yeah, cool. This is all bubbling in here.
Yeah, right.
Eventually it will...
if you think about
eventually it will come.
Indeed.
Exactly.
If you think it, do it.
Yeah.
That's what he said. And for you?
For me, technically speaking, purely as a filmmaker, bigger projects, because I learned so much during this one, so I want to expand a bit. Like I have an idea of building a whole large film set where things will happen, like performances, and where the camera can have much freer access to people and camera movement. So I just like see it. Yeah. And also, thematically speaking, I would like to address a theme of expressing anger, because that's very present in our world, and expressing
absolutely.
anger, like even on a personal note, if you are angry at somebody, it's being seen as something very rude, and how could you do this?
Yeah.
But I see sometimes anger needs to happen, and it has a function to change something, maybe to say something that you wouldn't have said before.
The function of anger.
So yeah, that's it's still kind of abstract in my head, but we are kind of addressing it in this film a bit, you know. Like, I would like to go even deeper.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even deeper.
Even deeper.
I like that. I want to thank you both so much for this conversation.
Yeah. Super
nice. It was really nice, really inspiring. And good stuff. I hope the people at home will also be inspired and that you got the message. Indeed, just be you. And be you in all the use you can be, all the use you can feel, right? I mean, I think that's an important lesson. And try it before you deny it. Especially if you don't hurt anyone else.
There we go.
With it. Try it before you deny it. Thank you so much, Iztok and Belle Dommage. And thank you very much for watching Uncovering Creative Spaces. I am still so excited for this. But thank you so much for watching. And the next one will be on the 2nd of December. If I'm correct, I won't be here, but my colleague Jurgen will be. And it will be, of course, amazing because it's Uncovering Creative. You watch it, we make it, we're here. Thank you for watching. My name is Jennifer. Peace out.